from Washington State. This is Sonja, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Ethiopian history, government, and current affairs. Well, Ethiopia was one of the world's oldest African nations. The earliest dynasties can be attributed or dated back to the pharaohs of Egypt. The first kingdom was known as the Aksumite Kingdom. During this dynasty, Ethiopians maintained great relationships with the Middle East, Egypt, and the Byzantine Empire. The Zagamid dynasty was a Christian empire that followed the Aksumite Empire. Its roots remained distant from other Christian nations, thus it grew into conflicts with Muslims that began to rise in the surrounding territory. Ethiopia made its transition to federal state. This time is classified as the era of princes. The imperial noble prince was classified as a Ras. The imperial family has been said to be descendants of Solomon and Sheba. The princes were typically from the Amoric or Omoral heritage. The heirs could not ascend the throne unless the other Rases agreed upon the emerging prince. Modern Ethiopia is attributed to one Ras Kasa Haile. He was a powerful prince, and with his military strength, he gained sole ruler over Ethiopia. The next rulers built upon his ideas and the idea of monarchy. The government yearned to fight against foreigners. Haile Selassie was the last modern monarch of Ethiopia. He successfully centralized the state and expanded the nation's civil society until World War II broke out and Italy gained control over the state. The Ethiopian nation was still under Haile Selassie until 1874, and his control of the government was overthrown. He failed to help the poor, which instigated the end of his power. President Mengistu Haile Mariam became the president of Ethiopia. His rule mirrors that of any socialist leader. The president tried to aid the masses, especially since they were forgotten under the former ruler Selassie. But he relocated and changed the entire culture, thus creating ethnic problems with alienation. The natural way people lived were disrupted. Mengistu's rule was ended by the rebels of Ethiopia, the People's Revolutionary Republic Front. In 1991, a new constitution was created, and the first multi-party election was held in 1995, instilling a new form of government. The anniversary of the defeat of Mengistu's regime is considered Ethiopia's National Day. A little bit about the government we can talk about is Ethiopia is a government that can be classified as a federal republic. There's 9 ethnically based states and 2 governing self-administrations. The legal system is a mix of civil law, regional and national courts based on civil law. The country has a ruling president. He is currently Girma Wogio. The head of the government is the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister today is Meles Zenawi. The Council of Ministers is their cabinet, and the Prime Minister and the House of People's Representatives approve them in their cabinet. The elections of the president are held every 6 years, and they can be president for 6 years. And the presidents are elected by the House of People's Representatives as well. They can serve a second term, so they can have presidency for 12 years if they are re-elected. The Prime Minister is designated by the party that's in power at the time. The legislative branch is a bicameral parliament. The upper chamber, with an upper chamber and a lower chamber. The upper chamber is the House of Federation, which interprets the Constitution and federal regional issues. There are 108 seats in this House. Each seat member serves for 5 years. The lower chamber, where the House of People's Representatives has 547 seats, they serve for 5-year terms as well. The judicial branch is elected by the Prime Minister, who gives a list of candidates to the People's Representatives. The judges have to be approved by the Federal Judicial Administration Council of Ethiopia. Currently, Ethiopia has been in a dispute with Eritrea over land boundaries. A new border line was developed, but the problems remain to occur because both countries don't really listen to the border boundaries that they actually agreed upon. The UN has been trying to create peace, but by monitoring the border and calling it a security zone, but the rival clans throughout the region, and it has no effect on them. They're landlocked and stemming. Ethiopia is landlocked, stemming from the civil unrest in the Sudan. Ethiopia holds 66,980 refugees from the Sudan, as well as 16,576 from Somalia and 13,078 from Eritrea. Many of Ethiopians are classified as internally displaced people. About 200,000 people are displaced from ethnic clashes throughout the nation. The majority of the people are from Tigray and Gamala provinces. More internal problems arise from the drug trafficking that occurs. Many Southwest Asia and Southeast Asia drugs go through the country, heroin, cocaine being the most popular. The drug money, as well as the money laundering that occurs in this country, keep the country away from developing a good financial system and keeping track of all the money that's in the country. That's about it. Any questions, you can call my cell phone, 760-703-6